Now, joining us on the news to discuss the ongoing local government election in Rivers State is a legal practitioner, Tunji Abdulhameed, and political analyst, Jide Ojo. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'll start off with you, Abdulhameed. What are your thoughts on the credibility of the election, especially considering the controversy surrounding, the appointment of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission by the sole administrator?
Sincerely speaking, I cannot. I've been racking my head and to know under which law that election was conducted. I couldn't get one. So if you are talking about credibility or legality of that election, I think I doubt that legality, because I'm not aware of any provision of our law which empowers the administrator or to organize such elections. In fact, there is no, as far as I'm concerned, there is no provision in our constitution regarding administration in charge of any state under our constitution. So the credibility of that election may be put on in test, bearing in mind those legal obstacles that I feel exist. But for me, I am not aware of any legal backing for that election. So if I see other law to that effect, I may agree. But for now, I doubt the credibility of that election, regarding the legality of it.
All right, Jide Ojo, let me come to you now, because Abdulhameed has said that he doubts the legitimacy of the election based on the fact that there is a military administrator who is in charge of Rivers State at the moment, no elected governor. But then again, the Supreme Court was the one who brought us here, because they were the ones who made that ruling in February that they should cancel elections that happened in October and another one should be rearranged. What's your take on the part of the judiciary in all of this setup?
Thank you. So what happened is that you cannot blame the sole administrator. It was not the sole administrator, stricto sensu, that appointed or legitimized the coming of Rivers State. It was the National Assembly. He submitted lists. Don't forget that after the state of emergency was put in place, the National Assembly took over the legislative function of Rivers State. For instance, the budget 2025 for Rivers State was passed by the National Assembly. And so the constitution of the Rivers State House of Assembly was also done by the National Assembly. So they are the one that legitimized the existence of RISEC. Although you can say that it is the sole administrator that nominated to the National Assembly, but we cannot say that National Assembly has no right or no legitimate role to play. In a situation where there is state of emergency, the National Assembly kicks in to act as the legislative arm, pending the restoration of normal democratic rule. So that would be my own take on why we are here. The grants also came out of the fact that maybe the state electoral law says there should be 6 months between the notice of election should be 6 months and everything. That was abridged. Perhaps some people have gone to court. Let's see what the court will say, because these people were sworn in barely a month ago, or shortly, just like a little over a month ago. So this whole election was packaged within 1 month. But let's even come to the politics of it. We cannot deny that there is political maneuvering behind what is happening in Rivers today. The political maneuvering is about 2027, and who controls the local government structure? In some weekend, you can see even on your reports, nobody went to meet Sim Fubara for his opinion. So even on the election, nobody went to meet the sole administrator as to what is perception. They went to meet Wike. Wike was former governor and FCT minister. But everybody gravitated towards him. He's the one that is now telling us that by September 18, the state of emergency will be lifted. So you can see that there is a politics behind it. let those who have gone to court exhaust the court process, but to the best of my intention, this will likely stay. And if it does not stay, it is the Rivers State money that is being wasted. Because it will then mean that if another court invalidates this election, there will be enormous financial and material cost to Rivers State resources to organize a third one. But it's all about 2027 and who controls the local government or local governance structure. So we cannot divide politics from legality. While we are talking legality, we must also understand the politics behind this. Wike wants to be in control of the structure and is having his way today, all things being equal. By the time the result will be out later in the day, if it's not yet out, you will see that he will have planted or he will have elected, let me put the right word so that I'm not saying that I'm discrediting the election. He will have had his men at the ends of affairs of the local government structure in Rivers State. Don't forget that part of the structure, the major issue between him and Sim Fubara was the fact that Sim Fubara was trying to hijack his political structure. And what political structure is he talking about? It's about the local governance system, which has been at the center of contention. Who controls that third tier of government in Rivers State? So, by and large, I just hope that they will allow this to be. They will just be in office for 3 years, after which another election will happen. Although the court has the power to invalidate if it wasn't done in accordance with the due process. But I'm just thinking of the enormous financial cost of having to litigate on this to Supreme Court and then having to have another one, as if it's only Rivers that is having local government election. But let's wait and see how all of this will pan out ultimately.
Let me go back to you, Abdulhameed. Now, aside the selection now of the head of RCEC, looking at what RCEC has done so far in putting this election together, how will you assess them? And do you think they have what it takes to actually have a free and fair and credible election?
And give them and assess their performance. I am not in Rivers State. I wasn't there when they were making their preparations. But what I know from the point of law is that just like Mr. Jide said, they require a number of days or time or months required for them to prepare for the election. It's not there. And that was one of the reasons why the last election was nullified. They said that the proper notice was not given, that the time between which it should be given was not given. So for me, we cannot just say because we want to save money, we want to save costs, we must learn to do the right thing. The right thing that we're not doing is the reason why we're here. This election today, as far as I'm concerned, they are just based on illegality and based on identities, as far as I'm concerned. There is no backing for it. There is no even the research that were being talked, even though they were confirmed by the National Assembly. I'm not aware of any law which says that in the event of emergency, National Assembly should take over the responsibility of the. What I am aware is that in the event National Assembly of a state is not able to operate, the National Assembly should take that responsibility, and that was based on the fact that probably the governor is on seat, not administrator. What we have in the entire system in Rivers State today is legality, because you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. The administrator. Legality of administrator is in question as far as I'm concerned. All the steps being taken are not backed by any law. It is just there at the whims and caprices of the president and Mr. Wike. So for me, the research, whether even if they've done well in terms of this organizing the election or whatever, the fact that they have no legal backing as far as I'm concerned, and render all what they have done useless as far as I'm concerned. Sorry to use that language.
All right, let me
see.
Let me ask you this. I'm coming back to you now, Jide. How might this outcome, the outcome of this election, how important is it when it comes to shaping the political dynamics ahead of the 2027 governorship context in Rivers State?
Is that for me or Mr. Jide?
No, Jide. The question is for you, Jide. I'd love to hear from you, Jide. First off.
That this is all about 2027. I understand the passion with which my learning friend is talking, but he's not a politician, and he's, you see, law and politics are like Siamese twins. Many a time you cannot divorce one from the other. He may be speaking stricto sensu from the point of law, but Nigeria politics and even global politics is never devoid of issue of legality, and politics are always intertwined. Look at what's playing out in the US. The usurpation of the powers being exercised by Donald Trump, how far he has gone, sacking people, dissolving institutions and all of that. And people have gone to challenge it. Even yesterday or thereabouts, the Court of Appeal said it doesn't have certain powers that it's trying to exercise over the imposition of tariffs. So it's not just a Nigerian phenomenon, it's everywhere you have politicians. They always want to do things at their bidding. And that's why I'm saying anybody looking at today's election only from the prism of law and order, it will miss the point. It's about 2027 and who controls the levers of power at the lowest governance system level. And that is why Mr. Nyesom Wike, he has not made any pretense about it. This is very dear to his heart. This is his means of sustenance. If he loses today's election, he may have ruled himself out of the power equation in 2027. The reason why he's sitting today as Minister of FCT was because he was able to deliver Rivers State to the All Progressive Congress for the first time since the commencement of this Fourth Republic. No opposition party had ever won Rivers State. But in 2023, he made that promise to Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, and he delivered. And that is why he was rewarded and compensated with Minister of FCT, which is also an unprecedented position. But by and large, I know that some people have gone to court, but we must not lose sight of the fact that 17 political parties contested today's election, including all the major parties. We have only 19 political parties. So I think there is a vote of confidence by the locals, by the people of Rivers State to say, if it means Wike having his way, let him have his way, let's have some peace. People cannot wait for the restoration of normalcy. I have, in my column in the Punch, challenged Mr. President about the imposition of state of emergency, that the power he exercised in pursuant to Section 305 of the Constitution, he acted ultra vires. Even though the Attorney General and Minister of Justice was trying to justify it, I don't see why that should have happened. But that's why you cannot look at the issue in Rivers strictly from the prism of law. You have to look at it from the point of politics and power struggles, the class struggle, the relevance, how somebody wants to make sure that he calls the shot, at least in that state, if not the entire South-South geopolitical region, ahead of 2027, in order to maintain some measure of political relevance. And that's why all of this is being packaged and everything is being done in a very speedy manner, not minding what the state electoral law may have said. Because as I said earlier on, clearly the state electoral law, which said there must be 6 months notice given, I don't think this has been strictly followed, but maybe they got the endorsement of the National Assembly to suspend that section of the law in order to allow them to have this election within 1 month. All said and done, we wait to see what will be the final outcome of this. But in terms of the turnout today, let's speak to the fact that, at least for news report, this election has been largely peaceful. There has not been any reported case of shooting. The turnout has been reasonable, and things seems to have gone normally thus far.
Well, before we wrap this conversation up, I want to ask you, Abdulhameed, now. Wike has said that the state of emergency will be lifted come 18th of September. Is that a case of optimism, or shouldn't that be a decision that only the president should have?
Yeah, you see, let me acknowledge the position of Mr. Jide regarding politics. I know and acknowledge that. I know what is happening in Lagos State about politics. But that does not mean it's proper. If you are to justify what is happening because of political power or struggle for political power, and say because if this not happen, somebody will be out of game. We are controlling legality, and that's why we will continue to see what we are seeing in our country, where people will work, will take it, grab it, and run away with it. That is the kind of thing we're encouraging. Just do it anyhow, win it, and then be in control. Then we'll move on. That's what we're talking about. So for me, I know that there's politics in it. Then we cannot just be using the politics to justify it. We must look at the legality of it. They work hand in hand. So if anything is illegal, there's nothing you can do that will make it proper. So as far as I'm concerned, what Mr. Wike has just said is authority. Mr. Wike, what he said is like the president talking today. Let me tell you that. So if Mr. Wike is saying by September 18 it will be lifted, just take it to the bank. That is the position. They were working together. They are working together with the president on this, and the state of emergency was declared purposely because of Mr. Wike. I can tell you, he even said it that he want them to remove the governor, not to suspend him. He want a national assembly of the state to impeach him, that he was saved by the president. So for me, if Mr. Wike is saying by September 18, and he will say that because the governor is already cooperating. The governor is cooperating with them. They are working together now. The governor is eager to go back to the office, whether legal or illegal. He doesn't mind. So it shows that people are not serving people. It's just a personal interest. So, and if you continue to encourage this personal interest of a team in the name of politics, we will be getting it wrong. There is no way you can be playing politics illegally.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for having this conversation with me.